You're listening to Potty Mouth Radio, the home of movies, music, television, and comedy. We watch things. We watch things. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to We Watched a Thing, and I really mean that this time. Welcome back.
New phone, who dis?
You got Billy and Dave here again. It's been when I first started,
a hot minute.
When I first started this show, I was so strict on we do not miss a week. I caught up with Topher the other day, and he was like, "Holy crap, how many weeks have you missed?" I was like, I know. It never used to happen, but life gets in the way,
Joey DiCarlo and Mark Ellis and Aubrey over at So Wizard, who have not missed a week in like a decade, are just hanging their heads and just going, "You fucking losers."
Yep. First, I had COVID, and then I had nose surgery, and then Dave had COVID, which turned into pneumonia.
Yeah,
and
got to do what I got to one up.
And you were moving house and didn't have a computer set up or anything.
Yep.
Would you like to issue an apology about your statements to Sean Carney, who couldn't record because he didn't have internet?
No, I don't think I will.
So yeah, it's been a minute, and then on top of that, I was just so busy. It's like we tried our best, people. We pre-recorded a few weeks, and we still have an episode which I edited, and in my head I thought I uploaded it, and then the next week I was like, it's fine, I'll upload it this week, and I forgot again. So I guess we'll put 2 episodes up this week, because we've got kind of this lost episode on Wolfman and flight risks. So, but that's not what we're talking about this week. What are we talking about this week, Dave?
Good question. We have seen Lord of the Rings: The War of the Rohirrim.
Yes.
And The Monkey,
which
was my number one most anticipated film of the year.
That's right, because our fingers are so firmly on the pulse. We're, of course, doing a double feature of a movie that came out 5 weeks ago and a movie that came out 3 months ago. So let's get into it. How about we do The Monkey first, since it was so hotly anticipated by you?
All right.
And from memory, I did not even know this movie was coming out when you mentioned it in your most anticipated.
Look, in your defense, you did not know any of the things on my top 10 were coming out because you had not done one iota of research.
That's true. But as soon as you mentioned this, it did shoot right up my most anticipated list. So I actually did see this at the cinema's opening day. So we are talking about The Monkey, a black comedy horror written and directed by Osgood Perkins, based on Stephen King's 1980 short story. It stars Theo James, Tatiana Maslany, Christian Covery, Colin O'Brien, Rowan Campbell, and Adam Scott, and Elijah Wood. And what is it about, Dave?
It's about an organ grinder's monkey that might be the devil. It mainly concerns 2 twin brothers who lose their father in sort of violent, crazy way when they're quite young, and come across this scary as fuck looking organ grinder monkey that belonged to him, and come to discover that every time you turn the key and make it bang its little drum, someone dies in a horrendous Rube Goldberg Final Destination manner.
Yep.
After some kind of craziness, we flash forward 25 years to one grown-up brother, and the monkey has reappeared after they thought they'd gotten rid of it.
Yep. All right, why don't you kick us off with your thoughts first, since you were so hotly anticipating this one?
It's pretty wild fun. I enjoyed it. It's my expectations were super high because I love Oz Perkins. I was obviously, loved Long Legs. I really like Gretel and Hansel. I like the Black Eyes Daughter. I like his aesthetic.
Yeah.
And the trailer, I think, was a little misleading in terms of tone. It made it seem a lot more probably tongue-in-cheek than I think the film is. I think the film is still very funny. It's very funny, but I think it's a darker Glee in the
Yeah,
violence in
right.
the film, whereas the trailer probably deliberately so to get bums in seats, felt a lot lighter in tone. And I'm not saying that as a bad thing, because if anything, I probably liked the darker tone a little more.
Yeah, right.
But this, I mean, this is crazy wild fun.
I loved this movie. I liked Longlegs a lot. I think this is a stronger film than Longlegs. I think it's a stronger story. I think the acting is great. Theo James playing both of those roles is fantastic. It's a lot of fun. There is a heap of violence, but I did find all of the violence really kind of.
It's super over the top.
It's so over the top
because of the nature of these. Like,
yeah.
It's hard not to use Rube Goldberg's name every time you talk about them, because I mean, these top the intricacy of a lot of the Final Destination deaths.
Yeah, because what's so much fun about this movie, you keep bringing up Final Destination, because what is so great about this movie is that all the deaths are essentially accidents. Like, the monkey itself is not like this entity that comes to life and kills people. The monkey has this.
It flicks a domino. And...
Yes, it's like chaos effect, and so all they do have this real, Final Destination aesthetic to them, where it's like, well, what's going to kill this person this time? Like, what's going to happen? And it is always so much fun.
And some of them are really shocking. Like, even when you kind of, every time that final drumstick comes down, some shit's going to happen.
Yeah.
But a lot of them are still shocking and surprising, and oh my god.
Yeah. I mean, you got to remember, I'm the guy who didn't think The Substance is a horror movie, and I stand by that. I don't think it's a horror movie, and I think that this is horror light. I think that there's gore here, but I've been trying to convince Noosk to watch it, because even though she doesn't like horror, I think that she'd be able to get behind this one. Because this I'm surprised to hear you say that it's darker than you thought, because this was a hell of a lot funnier than I thought. Now, I hadn't seen a trailer, but this is a straight-up comedy film with a heap of gore in it.
I think more some of the story elements, like...
I loved the
causing
story
the death
and the
of your
themes.
own, he causes the death of his own mum.
Yeah.
Things like that, which obviously a trailer's not going to convey. That I thought added, quite a lot of pathos to the story, even though on a surface level it's just crazy zany bloodbath set pieces.
Yeah. Let's get into the story, and we will get into some spoilers, because it has been out for 5 weeks. It's done really well at the box office. I think most people who've seen it, who wanted to see it, have seen it. As someone who hasn't actually read the short story, it must be one of the few Stephen King ones that I haven't read. I was really surprised by the turn the film takes when it turns out that it is his twin brother who is essentially using the monkey to try and kill him.
In
because
revenge.
he blames him for killing their mother. And I didn't see that coming, and I think it's a great turn, and I love all the themes around that. I love the way that that's revealed to us and stuff. I thought it was a heap of fun.
And really good. People obviously want to work with Oz Perkins. He's on a bit of a tear. Longlegs obviously was, blew up and was a bit of a darling. And so you've got really fun kind of cameos almost.
Elijah Wood,
who
Adam
Elijah
Scott
Wood is
in the opening
never
scene.
not great.
Tatiana
Maslany is obviously a slightly bigger role, but I can't remember who was the aunt, but Oz Perkins himself plays their kind of hippie swinger uncle. And that was hilarious when after the mother dies and they get taken in by this swinging hippie aunt and uncle who straight up say to them, we're going to do our best, but we're not going to do a good job because
I found this movie so
we don't
funny.
like kids.
Even the way that it balanced tone, I thought was fantastic, because this to me is how you do a horror comedy, because the horror elements are, as you say, quite dark and quite horrific, and yet I was laughing through the majority of this film. In the early kind of scene when the twins are children, every single time that you just cut to the funeral, You know, there's all of
that
these
priest. I can't. I don't know who
oh
played
man,
that young priest who just comes out and goes, "Whoa, fuck."
yeah. The pacing of all of those edits are fantastic. The way that the deaths happen super quick, and as soon as the person dies, bam, you cut to the funeral with the music playing. Or sometimes, you know, you don't even see you see them turn the key, and then bam, we're straight to the funeral. I just thought it was so well put together. This is a really fun time.
I'm not going to bother taking my suit off because I'll only have to put it on again.
Yep.
Did you have a favorite kill in this?
I got to be honest, I'm going to have to think about it because, like I said, I saw it opening day. Remind me of some of the kills.
You've got babysitter decapitated by the teppanyaki chef.
Oh,
You've got,
yeah.
I mean, science goes out the window, but the bikini girl diving into the electrified pool and just fucking exploding.
That was fantastic. Yeah, that was great.
And he has to duck to avoid getting hit by the leg.
Yeah, because like the opening part of that scene really harks back to like National Lampoon's Vacation, you know, and then all of a sudden just bam.
Real estate lady copping the shotgun.
Yeah,
and her little finger going into his mouth.
Yeah,
which was pretty funny. There aren't got the face full of fishing lures and
that's right. That was fantastic. That one went for a really long time, and then she walks outside and she's crying for help.
I thought that might be my favorite actually because I thought it was really good.
Yeah,
the sequence of events, the hooks, and then I'll put some rubbing alcohol, and I went, that shit's gonna catch fire. Sure enough, boom, head on fire, runs out the door straight onto the fence post. And
yes, that was awesome.
Good.
Yeah, no, I was a huge fan of this film.
Can't remember what happened. Oh, I did like the synergy of. Was it Bill? Bill's the evil brother, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. You get the dream sequence very early on where Hal's dreaming about dropping the bowling ball on his head and crushing him.
Yeah.
And sure enough, right at the end, the cannon blows the bowling ball and takes his head off and smashes it onto the wall, looking very much like Demi Moore at the very end of The Substance.
Yeah. I was a huge fan of this film. I found it tremendous fun. I thought, you know, it's only 98 minutes long. It doesn't overstay its welcome. It does exactly what it wants to do. It's funny. It's sharp. It's horrifying. Honestly, I'm torn between an 8 and a 9. I'm going to go an 8 at this stage, but like I said, I've been trying to get Noosk to watch it, and hopefully I will get her to, and on a second watch, it might go up higher.
Yeah, I'm probably an 8 as well, I think. Yeah, no, thoroughly enjoyed it, and glad to see some of our anticipated films panning out and actually being good, unlike Flight Risk.
Yes, because let's talk about a film which, from memory, I think might have made my most anticipated of last year. This, of course, came out in December, Lord of the Rings, The War of the Rohirrim, which is an anime fantasy film directed by Kenji Kamiyama. It is set 200 years before Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings, which
is ironic because 200 years is just shy of the runtime.
Yeah. But it is definitely part of that continuity. Like, this is definitely a Jackson's Lord of the Rings.
Oh, it's a wingnut film.
Yes.
You've got Miranda Otto narrating it.
Yep. 100%.
For no reason other than that, I guess she's...
Okay.
From Rohan.
All right, so it sounds like you and I have pretty similar opinions on this film, which is that sadly it's not that great.
It is aggressively fine.
Yeah, I mean, as someone who has seen a lot of anime, I think it was on a Hidden Gems episode that Berserk. I made you watch Berserk. Yes, the opening sequence of Berserk, that battle scene.
Yep.
The moment I saw that, I was like, "Holy shit! This is like." Anime's answer.
I actually
to
thought you were going to come in really warm on this, despite the runtime, because you love anime. Some of the animation in this, I think, is really quite stunning. Not all of it, but there's a weird. The opening really sold me. You start with almost it's obviously CG, but you start with almost like paper animation that then goes into what looks like photorealistic 3D.
Yeah,
and then you've got this two sort of 2D animation
Yeah.
characters on this three, and I
Yeah.
thought it looks
Okay.
gorgeous.
No, see,
But
you just answered what my. This is not an anime film. Anime traditionally still now is predominantly hand drawn. You
Yeah,
watch you watch a Ghibli film, they're watercolor backdrops.
Yep.
And hand drawn cell animation, and sometimes it's janky because it's not.
this
It's
felt
not
more to me
animated
like
on. It's not animated
Westerners
on
doing
ones,
anime
which-
like an
yeah.
Avatar: The Last Airbender or something like
Yes,
that.
exactly. It's not anime. Typically, is not animated on ones. I don't know if you know that term. That means that it's 24 frames a second of drawing. Generally, it's animated on twos, or anime is often even less. Sometimes they'll draw one cell and they'll hold it for 2-3 seconds.
Yeah,
But
the girl
that's
cries and it's this, and then it's like
Yes.
4 seconds of the stream.
but that's part of the charm of anime.
Yeah,
Now, this film, like you said, the backdrops are all CG. The cameras, I think, are all CG, and then they animate on top of that. I didn't love the look of this film at all, which already kind of drew me out. And then on top of that, it's a long fucking film, and it's just not interesting enough. Like, I didn't hate this movie. It sounds like you and I are pretty lockstep. It's a fine movie, but it's not. I mean,
there's about 20 minutes in the middle I haven't seen because I fell asleep, and I didn't care enough.
Yeah.
To look up what happened, or
No, that's right.
It just didn't. But that said, I kind of liked Hera, our main
same. Yep.
protagonist. I thought Brian Cox was pretty good as the king, but for something that really, there's big battles in this. This should have felt like an animated Two Towers or something.
Yes.
I didn't really care.
No, that's exactly my problem. I mean, like, even factoring in the Hobbit films, which aren't very good films, this is easily the worst of the Wingnut.
Hobbit films get a bad rap.
Yeah.
Weirdly, I'm saying you should watch the longer versions of a short book that was turned into 3 big films already. But the longer versions run faster perceptually than the theatrical cuts.
Yeah. Yeah, this is easily for me the weakest of all of the Wingnut films. There's no need to watch this again. I saw it once.
I don't get why this, other than money, I don't get why this was a theatrical release. It doesn't warrant it. It doesn't look good enough.
No,
There's
that's
not
right.
enough there for
And I'm surprised. I still don't, I guess, fully understand the relationship. I guess it's like a Sony MCU thing. What's happening with Amazon? Because this is not an Amazon release. Like, this is Warner Brothers. This is Wingnut, like you say. So
yeah.
I thought, I guess wrongly, that Amazon had purchased basically the full-on rights to this, like they have now done with James Bond. But yeah, I don't know.
Well, you might know. It's so long since I've actually properly read Tolkien. And even then, other than Lord of the Rings, it's probably 20, 30 years since I've looked at things like the Silmarillion and all the rest. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I'm assuming, given what a kind of an ardent fanboy of Tolkien PJ is, that this must be drawn from Tolkien's works. But
I would assume so, but that's what I mean with the Amazon stuff.
None of it rings a bell.
No, same. Yeah, I have no... I mean, let's see if it's mentioned in the Wikipedia page.
I'm sure Chris Sutherland can message. So he's sitting there shaking his head, going, "God, how do you have the gall to put yourselves on air if you don't know every last intricacy of Tolkien's works?"
Okay, so I guess it's very similar to a Sony MCU situation, because the second line under development in Wikipedia is this was intended to prevent New Line from losing the film adaptation rights for The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. So
that's
there
what
you
it feels
go.
like.
Other than money, that's why this exists.
Yep.
It doesn't say anything about whether it's fleshed out from the. No, there you go. It's not based on anything really from Tolkien. This is just a fully original story.
So it's literally just we've got to shove something out there so that we don't have our rights expire.
It tells the story of Helm Hammerhand, who Tolkien mentions in the appendices of The Lord of the Rings. So basically they took a character that was in the appendices and fleshed out a story from it. So And that's what this feels like. This doesn't have the same kind of gravitas that any of Token's storylines have. Like you say, I quite like the main character. I quite like some things about it, but I just don't care enough.
That's why we had the ridiculous shoehorned in throwaway lines at the end where, look, let's use some archive audio of Christopher Lee so we can have Saruman, and we're going to see a wizard. Well, he has many names, but in the common tongue he's known as Gandalf, and I sat there going, fuck off.
Yeah. Yep. So how are you scoring this film? Because I'm not high on it. I'm honestly, I'm hovering on 4, maybe 5. I don't know if this film gets a pass.
Yeah, look, I'm going to say 5 just because I kind of ended liking it more than I did through the mid parts. So
yeah,
I'm a little bit warmer, but it's barely a 5. It's like I said, it's aggressively mediocre.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk next week. It's been so long since we've caught up. I don't know what's coming out. Oh, you know what?
We're getting close to Death of a Unicorn. I'm not sure if it's in the next week.
I mean, I've got a couple that I've seen that you haven't yet, but Mickey 17 and Black Bag. If you're able to get to them, maybe we chat them next week. Yeah,
I'll definitely Mickey. I'm keen for Black Bag. I kind of was, but it also kind of feels like a story we've seen about 50 times. So
there's not really anything else. Not really anything else coming out next week. I'm not keen to see Snow White, so
I'm kind of perversely. I'm not spending money on it.
I mean, I know that the kids are going to want to see it, and I will probably take them.
Mine don't.
No, well, yours have outgrown. Yours are older than that. Yeah.
I have such low expectations that I perversely want to see it just to make sure that I'm right and how awful I think it's going to be. And the reviews are certainly the one thing I thought might be all right is Gal Gadot, and she is the thing getting the worst.
Yeah, Topher, former co-host of the show, saw it. He took his kid, who's 4, nearly 5, and he said Gal Gadot is easily the worst thing about it.
Almost everyone is saying
everybody's expectations and all of the shit has been dumped on Rachel Zegler, and yet in all the reviews she's the only thing that's getting reviewed well. And Topher said the same thing. He said you can really see that she is doing all she can, and that she's actually pretty good. But Gal Gadot and the dwarves are
the CG dwarves. The only thing I've heard some semi-decent reports of is the character of Dopey, who is apparently the emotional heart of the film. And
right. But of course, the production story about the dwarves, right?
Oh, yeah, they were regular-sized humans, and then
that was actually the second. To start with, they were little people.
Yeah, and then I think Dinklage and others came
That's
out going,
right.
The whole story's problematic, etc.
Yes. So then they pivoted to regular-sized people, which apparently was just bizarre. And I don't know how much of the film they actually filmed before they pivoted.
I've seen certainly stills, and I think I've seen at least snippets with the full size, and it was a real glad bag of. It was your woke wonder bag of.
Yeah, but I just don't understand, because surely CG dwarves is worse than anything, right?
Because now you're not even giving jobs to little people.
That's exactly my thing. It's like you're still going to the original story that Dinklage was saying was no good.
Yeah. Happy little people mining for gems.
And yet
you're not
don't
even employing people.
Exactly. It's wild. But yeah, so, I mean, look, I'm curious to see it. But for next week, let's say we're doing Mickey 17, and if you get to it, Black Bag.
Yeah, sounds good.
Nice. All right. Well, thank you for joining us here at We Watched a Thing. We're sorry that it's been a long time, and this is our first time recording in ages. If you're a listener of the one where we watched as well, the Friends podcast, I know that that's been an even longer time. Again, Noosk and I did record an episode.
I've got to say it. You were on a break.
We were on a break.
We were on a break. We were on a break. We were on a break. We were on a break. We were on a break.
We actually did record an episode about a month and a half ago, and I haven't put it out because I was like, I don't want to tease people with something that, could take another 6 to 7 weeks. So our plan is still to keep going with it, but we're going to wait until we can record I don't know, 10 to 15, and then it will come back. But there you go. So thanks for joining us here at We Watch the Thing, and we'll catch you next week.